In the last 3 months, I've been able to figure out exactly what the iPhone 16 Pro Max is good at. And I think there are 5 things that you need to know about. The only place to start is the big talking point from the iPhone 16 Pro lineup, and that is the camera control button. And I've tried my hardest to use it over the last 2 to 3 months. The one and only good thing that it can be used for is to access the camera. And now I can free up my action button for something else. But using the camera control button is infuriating. It is awfully placed if you're trying to use it in landscape mode. Your finger kind of covers up the top third of the screen when you're trying to access it and scroll up and down or left and right. And then as soon as you flip it to try and use it in portrait mode, you have to hold it so delicately and precariously that you feel like the phone's just going to fall out of your hand any second. They needed to either move it up and accept people are going to use it in portrait mode, or move it lower down the phone to accept that people are going to use it more in landscape mode. They've tried to find this happy medium between the two, and what they've actually done is found the most awkward position for both portrait and landscape. The second thing about the camera control button is that when you're trying to zoom in and out, you can't do it fast enough sometimes, and you can't be as accurate as you want to be. You can flick your finger up it 3 or 4 times to go from 1 time zoom to 5 times zoom. It is so frustrating to use because the reason you're trying to take a photo sometimes is to be quick and accurate. And the camera control button just does not let you do that. Then when you want to change from zoom to aperture and you've got to try and half press the camera control button, trying to find that happy balance between not actually taking a photo and pressing it hard enough to access the menu is so difficult and delicate to do. And the amount of unnecessary photos I've actually taken in just trying to go from zoom through to aperture is crazy. And the fact that you can actually do all of these things on the screen so much easier, with so much more speed, with so much more accuracy, and so much more delicacy, it actually gives you better photos by just using the screen rather than using the camera control button. So when we're using the camera control button now, Apple have given us some different lenses and some different features on the iPhone 16 Pro Max lineup this year. Starting with the new 48 megapixel ultra wide lens. The main lens is still a 48 megapixel sensor, and we've still got my favourite lens, which is the 5x optical zoom 12 megapixel lens. Yes, the picture quality of all phones is open for debate about what you prefer and what you think is better or worse. But there's no denying that the iPhone 16 Pro photos are up there with the very best that are on the smartphone market right now. On the front of the camera, we've still got the same old 12 megapixel selfie camera. It does everything you need it to do. Let's move on. One of the more interesting things to come to the iPhone 16 Pro Max lineup this year is the ability to shoot 4K 120 FPS. Now don't get me wrong, you're not going to be using this all of the time. But on those times where you really want to capture that slow-mo footage, you are going to be able to capture it in super crisp, high detailed 4K resolution. If you found any of this content so far helpful, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and helping the channel grow. Every person that hits that subscribe button helps me be able to bring you more content and more interesting things around Apple, around tech in general, and around all the things that I think are going to help you make decisions in buying products in the future. Having come from the iPhone 15 Pro, I knew the battery life of the iPhone 16 Pro Max was going to be incredible. I've set my maximum battery charging capacity now to 90% because at the end of every day, I'm only getting it down to 35%. But if you're just an average user, one of the best benefits of having the larger smartphone that Apple produce is the ability to not have to charge to 100%. You can put it to 90%. You can even put it to 80%. Because that's going to be enough to get you through the day for the vast majority of people. We can't talk about the iPhone 16 Pro Max without talking about Apple Intelligence, because Apple have told us these devices were built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. Not strictly true, because the iPhone 15 lineup can access Apple Intelligence. But Apple want us to believe it's been built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence, so we'll believe them. But I live in Warwickshire in the UK, and I'm filming this on Thursday, the 12th of December, and we got access to Apple Intelligence yesterday. So for a quarter of the iPhone 16 Pro Max's life, I've not been able to access the one thing that it has been designed to use. And my experience of using Apple Intelligence yesterday and today is meh. The one good thing that I've actually enjoyed using it for is Genmoji. But everything else, terrible. The image playground, I just don't see the point of it. It's just, if that's the best that Apple Intelligence can do, then I'm not convinced I ever want to do anything with Apple Intelligence ever again. It's all of this time, all of this waiting, all of this suspense to get access to Apple Intelligence. And it's just meh. It's just, you use it for 30 seconds, you realise it's not very good, turn it off, you put it away, and you don't use it. So many keyboard warriors out there these days that type away and be super aggressive in emails trying to respond to their bosses. But the fact you can now write it how you want to say it, you can write it how you mean it, you can write it how you really feel, highlight it all, and then just say to Apple Intelligence, write this in a professional tone for me, and it will rewrite your entire angry, moody email or letter, and it will write it in a professional way for you to get you out of the crap. Apple Intelligence's best feature probably lies in the Photos app, because now you've got the ability to use the cleanup tool within the photos. So if you've got an annoying photo bomber, if you've got a piece of litter in the background of your photo, if you've got something annoying that just takes the quality of that photo down a notch, you can enter into that cleanup tool. You can select the item that's making you frustrated with the photo and just eradicate it. And the quality that comes out of this is pretty good. If you do it on small items, then it's near perfect. If you do it on larger items and then AI gets into that process of trying to figure out what should be there, and sometimes it can give you something a little bit confusing. It's just like a smudge of colours. So it is good for small objects. Anything larger than that, you're going to struggle to get it to remove that image and give you something in its place that makes sense. Another clever little thing that they've done in the Photos app now is when you're taking recordings, the ability to use the audio mix. So you can now take a photo out in the open in a really echoey place, and then you can scroll through to the studio option, and it will reimagine that audio, and it will give you it in a studio environment. It takes average sounding audio to good sounding audio in seconds. The design of the iPhone 16 Pro Max lineup this year is largely the same as what it was last year. We've got a slightly bigger screen going from a 6.7 inch display to a 6.9 inch display, achieved through making the footprint of the phone a little bit bigger, but also making the bezels of the phone a little bit smaller. And when you're in bed now at night, the ability to reduce the brightness all the way down to 1 nit of peak brightness. For me, on a daily basis, I notice the impact of having that 1 nit of brightness. And whilst it might not sound like it's overly impressive, the difference that can make at night time when you're in such a low lit room is amazingly obvious. If you're still watching at this point, then it's clearly safe for me to talk about one of the one things that makes so many non-Apple people angry, and that is the Apple ecosystem. And if you're an iPhone user, you will appreciate the Apple ecosystem so much. I've got almost every Apple device you can possibly think of. I've got the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I've got an Apple Watch, I've got a Mac Mini, I've got a M4 MacBook Pro, I've got an iPad Pro. And the ability for them all to talk seamlessly and effortlessly together is one of the best things Apple have ever produced. The fact that I can leave my iPhone 16 Pro Max on charge upstairs and be working on my MacBook Pro, video editing and doing whatever it is that I'm doing, and be able to iPhone mirror and access everything on my phone as if it's in my hands, but on my computer. It just goes without saying, there is no better system integration than the Apple ecosystem. And if you are in the Apple world, if you are in that ecosystem, who cares how high the walls are? Who cares how hard they are to get out of them? So 3 months after using the iPhone 16 Pro Max, would I recommend anyone go out and buy the device? And the honest answer is yes, but with a caveat. If you've got an iPhone 14 or later, then you're going to see a noticeable increase in a number of different key aspects by buying the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You're going to have a bigger and better display, better cameras, you're going to have access to Apple Intelligence, the camera control button, an incredible battery. You're going to notice all of those differences. If you've got the iPhone 15, there is any reason to upgrade to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is a fantastic device. It is going to be my daily driver for the next year without a doubt. I hope you found this content helpful in trying to decide if you should buy the iPhone 16 Pro Max or not. But before you go, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Thank you for watching. Speak soon. Out.